recorder, is that the same pocket recorder that you used when you talked to Mr. Eduardo Flores Nava?
Absolutely.
And is this a digital or an analog recorder?
It's digital.
And we all should know how recorders work, but how does your specific recorder work?
It's about the size of a pack of gum. For ages, I've kept it right in my lapel pocket. And because of Georgia law, it's surreptitious. It's a secret that it's there. I never show anyone my pocket recorder. Georgia law says we're a one-party state, and I observe that.
And what does that mean? What's your understanding?
The only party needs to know that.
Calls for the witness to speak about the law.
Oh, I'll sustain the objection.
Okay. So you keep it in your record. At what point, specifically with your interview with Flores Nava, do you recall turning on your recorder?
Before I spoke to him, my recorder was on. I never let anyone know that I've activated. I have to actually push the button or record. I'm real good at slipping it back in, then I begin my interviews. But I never do anything where I'm holding out like a microphone. I don't want anyone to know. I want free and unfettered testimony from whoever I'm talking to.
And we talked about deleting of recordings. Is it practical to delete recordings at the scene of a crime? Why or why not?
I don't even understand why anyone would delete a recording at a crime scene. I mean, or anywhere else. With the advent of digital technology, you had these recordings for your notes later. You want to have all your information.
And again, did you, as it relates to Mr. Bean, Mr. Flores Nava, or any of the interviews that you conducted as it relates to this case, have you ever deleted any of those recordings?
Objection, Your Honor, asked and answered.
I'll sustain the objection.
All right. Now I want to go back to the video interview and go over particular portions of this interview.
Okay.
I'm going to first go to approximately 10:28:47, and we're going to start there. And we're going to start a little bit earlier at 10:27:49.
Okay, cool. I'm being straight with you. I ain't cut no corners. The day we pulled up at my spot. I pulled up at my spot. What's your spot? Fuck y'all. Let's on Macon Drive. I pulled up down on Macon Drive. What's that address? Which you probably seen a black camera on. I can't really remember the address of the spot because I got like two spots. But the first one of the spots that's across the street would be 2246, and I think the one over there is 2323. Macon. Okay. That's okay. You know, where I met your wife was 2333, 2233. 2233. Okay. That's where I pulled in, parked. About 15, 20, 30 minutes later, Brian pulled up. He called me, said he needs to come holler at me about some things. I was like, okay, cool, bro. He pulled it up, and got it one thug. Cool. Let me make sure I got these names right. Brian pulled up, and then what happened after Brian pulled up? You in the camera? Yes, sir. He was, I pulled him jump out and just shoot the shit for a minute. And Brian called me, said, come to see me. So I said, come on, Brian, come chop it up with me or whatever. So Brian come, and guy Young Thug roll up and said, hey man, I just seen a dude with about 22, 30,000 on him. You know what I'm saying? Who's that? Who? That's what Young Thug said. Young Thug said, yeah, the blue. Is he that kid with the dreadlocks? You always take on the ground? Right. Real skinny though, wearing pants like white boys. Skinny. Yeah, okay. I know. He's seen guys.
Okay, I'm going to pause at 10:29:31. At this point in the interview, is Adrian being the first person to bring up the name Young Thug?
Yes.
All right. And prior to this portion in the interview, was the only time you heard about Thug's involvement on the jail calls that you were listening to prior to this interview?
Yes, ma'am.
And prior to the jail calls or this portion of the interview, had you heard of that name, Young Thug, as it relates to this particular incident?
No.
And it was Bean who introduced that name?
Absolutely.
Now I'm going to forward to 10:32 to 10:33.
There was a lot of detectives when they first came to find him, and I told them that's probably the lies you talking about. I told them that Big Fred was riding and all like that right there, which I was the driver. Big Fred was the passenger. DK was behind me, and Young Thug was behind Big Fred. Young Thug is a rapper. Wait a minute, so Young Thug, what seat is Big Fred? Because he's like 6'8", 354 pounds. He was sitting in the back seat. No, he's in the front with me. Okay, so make sure I got the C-track. You said Big Fred was driving. All right, we got that cleared up. That was in the beginning. Yeah. So I told a few bullshit lies. I ain't gonna keep lying with you. I'm always lie, man. You know what I'm saying? Big Fred. You know, like I told the police officer, you know, everything just happened so fast that we ain't even, none of this are even supposed to occur. You know, so my man just come on first. So what about the guy with the money?
So I'm going to pause at 10:33:46. Now, when Mr. Bean advised you that he told the other officers or he told the detectives, were you aware of who he may have been speaking or referencing when he made that portion of his statement?
No.
And do you know where these conversations may have taken place? Whatever conversation he's referencing right now, do you know where it could potentially have been taking place?
Where he was getting taken into custody, where he was getting arrested, somewhere on Cleveland between that and Old Hateville Road.
Okay.
Basis.
Speculation.
I sustain the objection.
Do you know?
No.
All right. Were you aware of him being detained by police on scene?
Yes.
And were you aware of any detectives who detained him while on scene?
Yes.
Who were the detectives that detained him while on scene?
Detectives Porter and Booker Higgins.
And do you know at this point how long he was on scene before being transported either to Grady or to the Fulton County Jail?
I mean, I can estimate between 40 minutes and an hour. I mean, I don't really know because that's not what I was tracking at the time.
Okay. But you do know that Booker Higgins and Porter.
I sustain the objection.
Also within this portion of the video, he also begins to place where people were sitting in the car. Prior to this portion of the interview, were you aware of people's placement in the vehicle?
No.
And was it Mr. Bean who introduced the people's placement inside of that vehicle?
Yes, it was.
Now I'm going to and let me ask you this. We talked about no one going down to Grady Hospital. Between September 11, 2013 and September 17, 2013, did you direct anyone to go to the jail to speak to Mr. Adrian Bean?
Not at all.
Now I'm gonna go to 10:34:21. We're gonna start at 10:32:38.
All right?
It was a lot of the detectives when they first came to talk to me, and I told them that's probably the lies you talking about. I told them that Big Fred was driving and all like that right there, which I was the driver. Big Fred was the passenger. DK was behind me, and Young Thug was behind Big Fred. Young Thug is a rapper. Wait a minute, so Young Thug, what is Big Fred? Because he's like 6'8", 354 pounds. He was sitting in the back seat. No, he's in front with me. Okay, so let me make sure I got the C-track. You said Big Fred was driving. All right, we got that cleared up. That was in the beginning. Yeah. So I told the three boys, I ain't gonna keep secrets. I'm gonna keep it all the way live, man. You know what I'm saying? Big Fred. You know, like I told the police officer, everything just happened so fast that we ain't even, none of this even supposed to occur. You know, so my man just come on Fred and so. What about the guy with the money? Sir? What about this guy with the money? What's Thug came to you with a lick? It sounds like. No, they want to check on the lick was dead. The lick was dead. I guess when DK got in the car, you see any money on him? No, sir. I had $345 a month. Yeah, I know. It's his property. I saw it down there. I had my own money sheet. Yes, I had my own $345 in check and worth of cash in my pocket. It had nothing to do with what was going on up in Summerdale. No, sir. All right. Did you know that DK got some money? Okay, let me ask you something. Who had pistols in that car? Make sure I got in the car correctly. Who had pistols in the car? You got Big Fred with a gun. You got DK with a gun. You got Thug with a gun. Big Fred. What kind of gun did Big Fred have? Don't go get him. You think you can recognize him? He had a 9mm. Fred had a 9mm Ruger. Don't slow for me. Don't slow. Okay. DK had a small little gray looking gun. You know what kind? I just know. Small and gray? Yes, sir. Was it automatic or was it, I was in love, man. All right, but you don't know what his was, 9, 40, 45, what kind of DK had? I can't tell you. Okay. You know what I mean? I don't hang with. All right, small grade automatic. Let me put this on the clip for rap too. These are younger guys than me and Big Fred. Like I said once before, Big Fred just come home from jail. I'm trying to show my big homie a good time. My sister been buying brand new clothes and stuff. Okay. You know what I mean? And that was that. Big Fred, the younger guys, I don't know what they be at, what their attention is, or what they be on, or whatever. But they is way beyond what we're on. You know what I'm saying? They go by a whole nother means of getting their money. That's for sure. To get my money. These younger guys, they like to rob, take, and do all this other stuff. Okay. I don't want to put that clip. You know what I mean? I never rob. I ain't got no rappers for no robbery and stuff, for juvenile or something like that. But since that, I've been straightforward. You know what I mean? Trying to raise my family and whatever. What kind of gun did Young Thug have? You can remember? I didn't see Thug. Okay, but how do you know he had what he had? He keep a gun on. How much was the lien going to be? How much was they paying for the lien? It's your fault. Supposed to be $150 for the lien, 50.
Okay, we're gonna pause at 10:36:09. You're on permission to go up to the board.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll do a chat, I'll tell you. Now, in that section, he talked about a number of different things. So first, what do you recall him telling you the placement of everyone inside the vehicle was?
He said Adrian Bean was the driver himself. Big Fred Prothro was in the front passenger seat. Walter DK Murphy was in the rear driver's seat. He said that Jeffrey Williams, he called him Thug, was in the rear passenger seat behind Big Fred.
All right. Now, let me ask you this. He said a few things, and you talked about hustling, that he was a hustler and they were robbers. Do you recall that
I
portion?
recall that.
In your 30 years of being a law enforcement officer, patrol officer, what is your understanding of what a hustler is? Wait a minute, so is there a distinction between a hustler and a robber?
It depends who you're talking to, but hustlers generally, in my experience, people that get money from ill-gotten gains, drugs, they're not necessarily robbers, but it can rise to that given the right opportunity.
And when he said, I hustle, I don't do robbing, in your years, what was your understanding of what Bean was trying to communicate?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
You're right, it's his understanding.
I'll rule the objection. Do you have an objection, Mr. Steele?
I had the same objection as y'all.
Okay. I'll rule the objection, sir. He can answer it if he can.
In my experience, Bean was describing himself as a nonviolent felon. He gets his money in the streets without causing any kind of force or harm to people.
And that's what he's telling you.
That's what he's saying to me.
Now, he also talked about individuals who had weapons in the car. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. As it relates to Big Fred, do you recall what type of weapon he said that, did he say that Big Fred had a weapon?
He did.
What kind of weapon does he say Big Fred had?
He said Big Fred had a 9mm.
Do you remember what kind of 9mm?
It was an automatic handgun, and he just said a 9 or 9mm.
Let me go back for a moment. I'm gonna go back to 10:33:59, if you could just listen.
No, sir. I had $345 a month. Yeah, I know it's in property. I saw it down there. I had my own money sheet. Yes, sir. I had my own $345 in check and working cash in my pocket. It had nothing to do with what was going on at the summer there. No, sir. Did you know this DK got some money? Okay, let me ask you something. Who had pistols in that car? Make sure I got in the car correctly. Who had pistols in the car? You got Big Fred with a gun. You got DK with a gun. You got Thug with a gun. Big Fred, what kind of gun did Big Fred have? I'm gonna go get it. You think you can recognize it? He has a 9mm. Fred had a 9mm Ruger.
Do you hear what specific type of gun Agent Bean said Big Fred had?
Just heard he said a 9mm Ruger being the maker.
What about DK? Did you recall if he gave a description of the type of gun that DK had?
He said DK had a little small gun. I'm paraphrasing a little bit, but a smaller handgun, automatic,
Did he give you a color description?
silver.
And then was he able to tell you what kind of gun Thug had?
He couldn't describe it, but he talked about knowing he always had one.
I'm going to show you what's already been admitted. It's State's Exhibit 102C. Looking at State's Exhibit 102C, what portion of the vehicle is State's Exhibit 102C?
For the blind guy, looked like the front passenger seat.
And is there a gun marked by a placard marker 3?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what's already been admitted in State's Exhibit 114C. Looking at State's Exhibit 114C, can you see on the front of that box, the number placard that's on that box?
The APD number, the 2013 number.
No, the number that is the item number.
114C.
This item number right here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Number 3.
Is that consistent with that 3 that's inside of State's Exhibit 102C?
Yeah, I can know, please. I'm sorry, say it again. Ms. Hill.
Is that 3 consistent with what's in State's Exhibit 102C that's on the screen?
Yes, it is.
All right. And if you could look, does it have a description on 102C on that evidence sticker, what type of gun is in that box?
Yeah, this is actually the sticker I printed out back in 2013 myself. It's one black Ruger 9mm pistol.
Okay. And if you can open the box. And is that Ruger 9mm?
That's it.
All right. Now, looking at State's Exhibit 104C. And if you do me a favor, can you just take your right hand and open up and show that gun that's inside of it?
Okay. Let me put on 2 so we get it right.
All right, thank you. Now let's go to the 104C. Are those two, what are we looking at, 104C?
This is the rear driver's side, I'm sorry, yeah, rear driver's side passenger foot area where these 2 firearms were located.
And showing you what's been already admitted is 115C and 116C. Are those the 2 weapons that were collected from the back of the vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And if you can open up both 115 and 116C,
15 right here.
and if you can hold that up, again, it appear to the barrel of that gun to be a silver barrel to that gun.
Yes.
And what about looking at 116C? Now, in looking at Safety Exhibit 4, 102C and 104C, were those guns consistent with where Adrian Bean said the individuals who had guns were seated in the vehicle?
Yes.
All right. Prior to speaking to or meeting with Adrian Bean, had you showed him any of these pictures?
No.
Okay. Had you talked to him about the pictures that were on the scene on September 11, 2013?
Not about photos.
Had you had any conversations that they found a Ruger in the front driver's seat of the vehicle, front passenger seat of the vehicle?
I didn't.
Okay. Had you had any conversations with Adrian Bean that they found 2 guns in the back seat, both having silver portions of that gun?
No, I didn't collect the guns at the scene.
Why didn't you show Mr. Bean these pictures?
I just wanted his testimony without any prompting.
You can take that in. Now going back.
Can I take these?
Yes, you can take those off. That want to go to approximately 10 minutes and 37 seconds, 10 minutes, 10, 37, 10. We're going to actually start at 10:37:08.
Bang, bang, no family man.
Sorry, 10:37:08 is when we started playing. You're welcome.
I come home from prison. So you know what I'm saying? So DK, who's he friends with in the car? Thug, him and Thug, they down with each other. They gangbang, they already sell some type of blood. How long you known Thug? I know his father. I've been on his father over a couple of years now. You know what I mean? Like I said, Thug just started coming around. But how long have you known he exists as a human being? How long you known the rest? I can't. What? How long? I don't remember. In years. Guess a guess. Because I don't know his real name. What's his real name? Lil Jeff. That's all I know. They call him Lil Jeff. We don't know his last name. What is dad's last name? I don't know his dad's last name. I know his dad's name Jeff Rogan. Lil Jeff. Jeff. Okay, I figured that out for you. No, it's not hard. So the guy in the club with you is can't eat cat. If you saw a picture of him, you recognize it.
We're going to stop at 10:38:04. During this portion of the interview, do you recall asking Mr. Bean how long he had known Young Thug?
Yes.
And do you recall him or hear him say, I know him, he's a rapper since I came from nothing? Did you hear when he said that?
I heard that, yes.
Okay. Were you aware or familiar with the mixtape by the individual Young Thug titled I Came From Nothing?
Who, me personally?
Yeah.
Nah.
Okay.
Mr. Hylton, before you pause your next question, ladies and gentlemen, the comfort break?
Sure.
Okay, all right. Let's take 10 minutes and then we'll come back and see where we are in terms of lunchtime hour, okay? All right, we're in recess for 10 minutes. All rise.